lot, but what has never been more apparent is the money that the schools make from March Madness, none of which makes its way to the players. For example, last year, the Missouri Valley Conference earned more than $8 million from the tournament, thanks in part to Loyola's Final Four run. ACC teams earned $36 million from the conference. Of course, many get the college experience for student athletes, but is it what many think it is? This ad showing the joy of the student and athlete, a day in the life, was blasted on Twitter last night from pros that have been through it. Where's the early morning workout? Did he not have any homework or studying to do before bed? NCAA is lying to these kids. Boy, what the hell is this? Said Alvin Kamara. And y'all paid the actors in this more than the real student athletes. Now, working with the student athletes to know their rights in the college system is someone who used to be on the inside. Former NCAA investigator Tim Nevius worked for the NCAA on cases like the Ohio State tattoo scandal back in 2011. And now he's hoping to help push for change for student athletes. He's starting the College Athlete Advocacy Initiative. Announced on Monday, the goal is to help the student athlete advocate for their rights, including providing assistance for athletes related to harmful recruiting practices, health and safety concerns, and abuse and mistreatment. And we're pleased to be joined by CAAI founder Tim Nevius. And Tim, let me ask you, you were on the inside. What did you see working for the NCAA about this system that works against student athletes?
Well, there's a number of things that, in my time at the NCAA that I recognize, and I think that it starts with the tremendous value that the athletes have to the university. The athletic department is what they call the front door to the university, and the athletes really form the major marketing arm of that university. And so the athletes are used basically to promote the brand of the university, and that depth of the exploitation that's involved in that was something that, you can't help but see when you're involved in investigations, and you can see it even in the FBI case that we had recently.
But is there concern for the athletes? Is it just that the NCAA can't really see some of what the athlete's going through, or is it kind of yeah, you know what, that's secondary to what we're trying to do?
Well, I saw it, certainly, and that was, the other thing that I recognized was the real impact that this system has on the lives of young people. And so we would punish people for taking benefits from coaches or the schools or the boosters. They would get suspended, they would lose their scholarship, and so not only were they not able to participate in the profits that they're generating, but we also compromised their ability to get an education.
So why did you choose to start CAAI?
Well, actually, this was as a result of, after leaving the NCAA, working with a firm to actually sue the NCAA in federal court related to the compensation restrictions. After that, I spun off my own practice to work with college athletes and their families, and in the last year plus, I've taken dozens, if not hundreds, of calls from athletes and parents that are caught up in this system. And the NCAA and the schools expect them to navigate the 400-page rule book on their own, but they clearly need legal assistance. And so I've taken a lot of calls from people, been able to help a number of people, but there's a number of people that certainly they're just not in a position to afford legal resources. And so that's one component of the new organization, which is to provide legal services to those that can't afford it. And the second aspect is to provide an advocacy platform from which we will launch campaigns for reform.
Are you advocating to pay players?
Well, it's certainly part of the discussion, but this is all about fundamental fairness. And okay. I'll note that we got a fellowship from the Urban Justice Center through their Social Justice Accelerator program, which helps us frame this as a social justice issue, that this just isn't about paying the players. This is about fundamental fairness. So we're going to give them, what we're advocating for is comprehensive health care, uniform and enforceable health and safety standards so people aren't dying on the field, the right to use their own name, image, and likeness, which they can't do. We're going to, advocate for them to have fair transfer opportunities and things of that nature. And so this really, it is so much more than paying the players, but it's all related to these conflicts of interest that the schools have between their commercial interests and their mission to educate and protect young people.
So when you're talking about advocating, how far should players go to push for their rights? How far does this go when you talk about advocacy?
Well, we're going to support the players regardless of what avenue they decide to take.
But so are we talking about boycotts? Are we talking about not showing up to school? I mean, these are the changes we sometimes see in society when people want change.
And we will support athletes no matter how they want to express themselves. What we're going to do is we're going to empower the athletes. We're going to give them the information they need to advocate for their rights. and we're going to support them and stand behind them. Whether that amounts to, you know, boycott or not, that's going to depend on the circumstances and whether people are, you know, interested in doing that. But what I would say is that demonstrations can take a variety of different forms, and our campaigns are going to be more than just, you know, on-court demonstrations, things like that. We're going to be spreading information through a wide network of individuals, including professional and college athletes, to shift the narrative and let people know that there are serious consequences and issues facing college athletes.
Well, that support is definitely needed. Tim, thank you very much. We'll be right back.